Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning. All right. We are talking about Avengers Age of Ultron today and Thor's role in it. Now, I went back to watch Age of Ultron at the weekend and I've watched the Thor specific clips as well. It's not as bad as I remember. It's really not. It's actually, I'm glad I analysed it. I'm glad we are analysing it today because there's a lot that goes on in this film that really foreshadows what's to come with Thor, especially in Ragnarok. I don't know if it was intentional. It must have been. They must have knew Ragnarok was coming. They must have planned it. They must have known that far ahead. Age of Ultron was, of course, released in 2015. It's Avengers 2, so it's the second Avengers film. I've got an analysis in the first Avengers film above from the POV of Thor. So this is the first time we're seeing the Avengers reunited together, unless there was a Captain America film in 2014. I think there was it The Winter Soldier? So maybe there was some Avengers activities there. But in terms of an Avengers film, this is the one directly after Avengers 1 in 2012. So there are some references at the start. Anyway, lots to decode, so let's crack on. What we're going to do today is I've picked out 6 scenes, and we also have a bonus scene. I was going to do every single scene, but as we found in the last video, it becomes quite an epic video. And we don't want them to be too long because I want them to be consumable for you. So we're just going to pick out the best scenes and really dive deep and look at who is Thor, what can we learn about Thor from these scenes, from his relationships with other people, from his relationship with Jane, his brother, his family, obviously the whole series, the Odinson family drama series, of which this is part 5. It's all about Thor, where he came from, who he's becoming, his identity, all of that. So let's crack on. I'm going to do a quick introduction, an announcement, and then we'll dig into the video. So if you haven't been here before, welcome to Love and Fandom, where we believe the relationships we see on the screen help us to understand ourselves at a deeper level and have a better relationship with ourselves and each other. I'm Cheryl Muir. I'm a relationship expert. I'm a certified coach. I've been coaching for 8 years and I help women fall in love. I help them with their relationships. And I love the MCU. I love the MCU. So here we go. Let's take a look. Oh, a quick announcement. One thing I do want to say, I've been speaking to some of you. I only spoke to 3 people. So if you are one of them, you are part of a select few. Some of our most dedicated people on the channel. And I spoke to you and I said, hey, what do you want to see on the channel? What do you want me to analyze next? And you gave some great suggestions. Stranger Things was one. There was also an anime show on Netflix called Arcane. So I want to take your request. I don't want this to be me just gobbing off about the MCU. I want to create things that are helpful. So I'm happy to do requests. So let me know what it is you want to see on the channel. All right, enough introducing. Let's get into it. Scene 1, the opening fight. So it opens with this beautiful, iconic slow-mo scene of all 6 Avengers in a fighting pose. And we see the silhouette of all of them. Thor says, Loki's scepter must be here. They couldn't melt his defense without it. He turns and says to Cap, you and Stark secure the scepter. Cap, copy that. The bad guys approach. Thor says, oh, they're lining up. Cap, well, they're excited. Thor hits Cap's vibranium shield with Mjolnir. Now, why is this significant? Because it's a parallel to the fight in Avengers 1. When we saw Thor fighting with Cap and with Tony, and he was like, you want me to put the hammer down? And he hit the shield, they almost destroy each other. Now they're actually working together and using their power together. So he's working with his teammates now, and he sees them as equals. The humans are no longer petty and tiny. So progress, continues character development for Thor. It is about to change very drastically in Thor Ragnarok, but we'll get to that in the next video. In scene 2, there's a really sweet scene where he's joking around with Banner. Now, for context, the Avengers have tried to steal Loki's scepter. They fought Ultron. Ultron had the 2 enhanced. They call them the enhanced at the start of the film, which is, of course, Wanda and Pietro. And Wanda mind-controlled Hulk. She did the wiggly woo, the wiggly fingers. And Hulk then went on a rampage and, of course, killed civilians. So Bruce is devastated about this. So they're in the Quinjet after this. Banner's kind of licking his wounds, and he is really upset, of course. Natasha says, Thor, report on the Hulk, meaning she wants a report on the news footage. What's happening? Have they called for Banner's arrest? And Thor says, the gates of hell are filled with the screams of his victims. Natasha kind of glares at him like, what the fuck? Banner groans and puts his head in his hands. And Thor very quickly notices Banner's distress. He's like, oh, but not the screams of the dead, of course. No, wounded screams, mainly whimpering, a great deal of complaining and tales of sprained deltoids and gout. So it's obviously quite comedic, but we're seeing a bit of a flash of Ragnarok Thor here with the comedy coming through. But it's also, Thor's becoming a lot more sensitive to his friends and he doesn't want to see them upset. When he realizes he's fucked up, he changes his story and he backpedals really quickly to make Banner feel a little bit better or a little bit less worse. So it's a really sweet thought, but in the words of his brother Loki, he is an oaf. He does put his big boot, his big foot in it, but he tries to repair it. It's quite a sweet moment. And it reminds me of the type of thing he might have done with Loki or with some of his friends on Asgard with the Warriors 3. Like this banter and this friendliness that he has with them is something that he's really developing. So it's a really sweet scene. Scene 3, Avengers, the Tower Party. This is when they have the celebration in the Avengers Tower hosted by Tony. It's the scene that launched 1,000 fan fictions. Everyone's going for a party in the Avengers Tower. Why would you not want to? It looks so fun. There's, ambient videos of this. It's something that's inspiring to us all. So here's what happens between them all. Tony says to Thor just before the party, he says, "You're staying, right?" Thor goes, yes, of course. Victory should be honored with revelry. So, like, say you're Asgardian without saying you're Asgardian. And then next time we see Thor, it's the very next scene with him. He's talking to war veterans, right? Possibly about battles, who knows? Or maybe they're just the closest ones to his age. And it's the same with Steve, actually, right? He relates to those war veterans more. They're closest to his age. So there's something quite wholesome about this Asgardian warrior talking to Midgardian World War II veterans. So he is a little bit still struggling to relate to the Midgardians. He's going for the ones who are a little bit older and who have something maybe in common with him that is, that he's struggling to maybe find with his peers, the Avengers. He goes for the war veterans and tells tales of battles from hundreds of years ago. And I'm sure they were talking about war and such and battles from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And of course, there's that scene where they have the Asgardian absinthe and some of the veterans, I think it was Stan Lee playing one of them, staggers out. And then in this same scene, there's Rhodey telling the War Machine story. I'd forgotten about all of this. I don't know if as I'm saying this is kind of coming to light and you're being reminded of what happens in this film. There's quite a lot of good moments where we're seeing Thor being a bit more relaxed and not always in battle. So there's Rhodey telling the War Machine story to Tony and Thor, and they don't laugh at the punchline. It's like tumbleweed. And he says, why do I even talk to you guys? Everywhere else that story kills. And Thor's there, and he's dressed in Midgardian clothes, right? He has that kind of maroon jacket on and some like jeans or something, a t-shirt. And he goes, oh, that's the whole story? And Rhodey says, yeah, it's a War Machine story. And Thor laughs politely and goes, oh, it's very good then. It's very good then. And he turns to Tony, kind of encouraging Tony to laugh. And Thor, smiles politely, laughs nervously, and sips his drink and goes, oh, it's impressive. So the vibe here, similar with the scene with Banner, right? He's becoming really sensitive to the feelings of his Midgardian friends, and he wants them to feel really welcome, really comfortable, and he's having a little bit more banter with them and sharing jokes. And then Agent Maria Hill joins the fray. Her and Rhodey say, hey, where are Jane and Pepper? Like, where are the ladies? And Tony says, well, Miss Potts has a company to run. Thor says, yes, I'm not even sure what country Jane's in. Her work on the Convergence has made her the world's foremost astronomer. Tony. And the company that Pepper runs is the largest tech conglomerate on Earth. Pretty exciting. Thor chips in. There's even talk of Jane getting a Nobel Prize. And Maria says, yeah, they'd hate missing you guys get together. Testosterone. And Maria and Rhodey leave. Thor looks to Tony, looks away, and he grins. He says, but Jane's better. So Thor's obviously bragging about his girlfriend. He's proud of Jane and her work and who she's become on Midgard. I actually really love this for them. I've been quite critical of their relationship. You can check out the previous video above if you would like. I don't love their relationship as a whole. We'll see how it pairs in Love and Thunder. But what I do love about this is Thor did play a bit of a role in her success. He confirmed a lot of Jane's research in the first Thor film. He helped her link it all together. He drew Yggdrasil, the world's tree, for her. He told her to keep going because she's right. She's been to Asgard because of him, and during the convergence, she was sick because of having the ether within her. So he's really supported her a lot. So it's very, very sweet that Thor's really complimenting her and her accomplishments, and at no point he's trying to take any credit. I think younger Thor might have done, younger Thor in Thor 1, or even early in the Avengers might have said, oh, it was me who showed her Asgard and explained the 9 realms, but he doesn't do that. He's really proud of her. It's really loving and healthy, and we love to see it. So let's continue with the party scene. So the Avengers and Maria Hill are sat there eating takeout. It reminds me of the shawarma scene from the Avengers, and they're talking about Thor's hammer. It's a trick. How come only he can lift it? Tony steps up. He says, so if I lift it, I rule Asgard. Thor, very noble. Yes, of course. Tony can't lift it even with the help of Rhodey and their, mechanical arms and hands. Everyone has a go. Steve tries. Mjolnir squeaks, and Thor looks very nervous. Steve doesn't lift it. Thor looks relieved. He laughs and he goes, nothing. Sips, drink. So this is really important for Thor and his growth, and I want to just take a pause here and explain why this is. So it feels like a flashback to when Odin banished Thor and cast him out of Asgard in Thor 1. So if you have a father who's screaming at you, you are unworthy, and your worthiness is tied to this external thing, that's going to psychologically fuck with you, and you're always going to be worried, am I still worthy? And this is the legacy of his family. This is the legacy of his father that his father left to him. Sorry, I feel that Thor's father Odin has this identity of great king, shitty father. It reminds me of like Marcus Aurelius in Gladiator, that old king, great king, noble king, shit dad. So Thor now has this complex, am I still worthy? Is someone else more worthy? Because his worthiness is represented by the picking up of this physical object, right? So his worthiness is attached to something outside of him, and we're going to come to this in the over to you section at the end in terms of what this might mean about you and some questions you can ask yourself. Now, Thor pretends to be all coy and relaxed, when they're all talking about the hammer, and he goes, oh, that's a very, very interesting theory. I have a simpler one. Picks up the hammer, flips it over, and looks nonchalant and says, you're all not worthy. So the next thing, Ultron in his machines break in. Thor fights using the hammer and works with his friends to fight the machines. Now, again, Thor's worthiness is tied to this external thing. So start to have a think about where maybe your worthiness might be tied to something outside of yourself. If you want the questions on that, you can flick to the end, to the section called Over to You, where we ask questions about this. You can journal on those questions or ask yourself. Scene 4, I fucked up the numbering on my notes, but that's okay. Scene 4, the birth of Vision. So you know how the Avengers are trying to stop Tony when Vision's cradle is at that 97% charged? Thor comes in, he powers up the rest of it with his lightning because he's had a vision, a prophecy about the stones, about the Infinity Stones. That was in the Norn Cave, which we're going to come to in the bonus scene at the end. So here we see Thor going rogue again. He's doing his lone wolf thing, but he knows he's right, and we know he's right as well. He knows they need an Infinity Stone on their side. We know, of course, that Thor is right because the Mind Stone is the very last thing Thanos obtains in Infinity War. So next, Vision bursts out of the casket. Interesting symbolism there with casket and birth, and Vision makes the joke later about I was born yesterday. So he's being birthed, Vision's being birthed. Thor's thrown across the room, and there's this whole discussion about whether or not they can trust Vision. Thor tells the Avengers about why they need an Infinity Stone on their side, and then here's where the scene ends. And again, we're touching on this worthiness with Thor. The scene ends with Vision saying this: there may be no way to make you trust me, but we need to go. He hands the hammer to Thor. Thor's silent. Then he turns to Tony after Vision walks off. He says, right, well done. Pats Tony on his shoulder. So Thor has enormous fears here. He has enormous fears about the future of Asgard and what might happen in the future. He's really, really scared of this. He's scared he's not going to be able to save them all. He's had this vision in the Norn Cave. He's had this vision where Wanda takes over his mind. We'll come to that in a second. And this turns out to be quite a legitimate fear about the Infinity Stones. And he's also seen other people pick up his hammers. This really symbolizes his worthiness. So there's a few things happening here. There's cracks appearing in Thor's worthiness and his confidence within himself as a hero. He's really questioning his identity at this point. Let's look at the final fight. Have I missed something? I feel like I've missed in here. Let me just go back a second. I think we're okay. Birth of Vision. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the final fight. Obviously, Thor's working really closely with all the Avengers. He's working with Steve. He saves the people and the cars after their vehicles fall off the bridge. He hits Steve's shield with the hammer. So again, he's combining his strength and power with someone else. He didn't do that in the first Avengers movie, not at the start. Then there's this really interesting part at the end of or towards the end of the final fight. Ultron strangling him. Thor's saying, "I am Thor, son of Odin." And you think, oh, here we go again. It's Thor and his spiel. And he goes, "I'm Thor, son of Odin. As long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say now." And Vision swings the hammer, hits Ultron. Ultron goes miles away. Vision makes a comment about the hammer. Here's why this is significant. Vision says, "It's terribly well balanced." And Thor says, "Well, if there's too much weight, you lose power on the swing, so..." And there's this really awkward moment. Thor's being forced to share this experience of something that up until now was something only he had. It was unique to him, and now it isn't. And this is the start of what we begin to see with Thor, where other people can pick up the hammer. Other people are worthy too. So in terms of what happens now as we come to the end, obviously Thor's working with the Avengers, including Wanda. They have that beautiful shot where there's all 6 of them or 7 of them to defeat the robots. And Thor works with Iron Man and Vision. There's that shot where they're all using their various different rays of light, lightning, Infinity Stone blasts, Iron Man with the hands, continuing on the theme of teamwork. There's a final plan to save Sokovia, which is 20,000 odd feet in the air. Tony says to Thor and to Cap, "If this plan works, we might not go home." And Thor says, "Maybe not." So there's the real acceptance with Thor of like, I'm going to have to do whatever I have to do to save people. I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to. But I'm going to do everything I can to save these people and save any people, whether they're Midgardians, Asgardians, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do everything that I can. It's obviously Thor's lightning blast that disintegrates Sokovia once everyone's evacuated. There's an interesting conversation at the end with Steve and Tony and Thor, saying Vision's basically like an elevator, right? And that's why he's worthy. I don't know if they're trying to make Thor feel better, but they're curious about why Vision could lift the hammer. Thor says, "Oh, well, I'll miss these little talks anyway," and he's off. And then he's beamed up by the Bifrost, and next time we see him is, of course, in Ragnarok. So let's go to the bonus scene, because this is really, really significant for Thor and his journey. So here's what happens. Wanda does the wiggly woo thing, and Thor says, "The girl tried to warp my mind. Take special care. I doubt a human could keep her at bay. Fortunately, I am mighty." And next thing he walks into the Asgardian scene. So he says he's mighty, but actually not really the case. So again, his mightiness, his strength, his role as a hero is being brought into question. He has this exchange with Heimdall, which is a prophecy. It's not just a fear. Heimdall says, "Is that him? Is that the first son of Odin? His eyes are white. His eyes are completely whited over without any pupils." Thor says, "Heimdall, your eyes, Heimdall. Oh, they see everything. They see you leading us all to hell." And he screams, "Wake up." Next thing, Thor's being strangled by Heimdall, and Thor's going, "I can still save you." Heimdall says, "We are all dead." This is really unsettling as you watch this, when you know what's starting to happen or what's going to happen in Ragnarok and then in Infinity War. This is a prophecy. It's Thor's greatest fear that he's seeing, and it's going to come to pass. Lightning crackles underneath his fingertips, very similar to when he fights in Ragnarok on the Bifrost, which hasn't happened yet, so it's a foreshadowing. Heimdall says, "Can you not see? You're a destroyer, Odinson." And then Thor's lightning ripples off one of those circles on his suit, and the lightning hits an Asgardian and kills them. And Heimdall says, "See where your power leads?" And this is obviously really unsettling for Thor, really, really unsettling. So Thor then has a vision about the Infinity Stones, and then that's when he goes back to Vision and the casket, and he explains to the Avengers what's happening. This is less of Thor's fear and more of what's to come, or it could be a fear that's so deep it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. His identity is really being challenged. Is he a destroyer? Is that who he is? Is that who he is? He's got real fears about the future of Asgard, what might happen in the future. He's scared he's not going to be able to save them all. He thinks it's his responsibility to save everyone. Even when there's other people there, he thinks it's all on his shoulders. And so, yeah, he's never seen himself as a destroyer. He's never seen himself that way. Is he a destroyer? Is that who he is? This is where things really start to go wrong with Thor. This is when the kind of phase 1 or phase 2 Thor. I suppose phase 1 is like Thor in Thor 1 and at the start of the Avengers. Then phase 2 Thor is when he starts working with the Avengers and becoming the hero. Phase 3 Thor is more about when Thor is losing everything. Right? Ragnarok hasn't happened yet. He's lost his mother, right? But his father's still alive. He's lost his brother too, but Loki's still alive. He just doesn't know that. He's going to go into Ragnarok, which we're going to analyze next. And things are really going to start to change for Thor. He's not going to be the hero. He's not going to be able to save everyone. Loki's actually the hero in Ragnarok at the end, right? He's the one that saves the Asgardians. It's slipping through Thor's fingers. He's really having this relationship with his strength. We'll get to Ragnarok where he talks to Odin about, I'm not as strong as you. And Odin goes, no, you are stronger. He's doubting himself and his strength. So take a look at this through your own eyes now. Not like Heimdall's eyes, but take a look through your own eyes. Where are you doubting your strength? Where are you questioning your identity? Where are you questioning your ability to do the thing you know you're here to do? It's okay to be human. It's okay to have doubts. But where are you questioning it, and what can you do to help strengthen that? Because you know what it is you need to do. This is why we love these films, because there's actually so much depth and so much we can learn about ourselves if we choose to see it that way. Let's wrap up with some questions. So over to you. We've got 4 questions I'd love for you to ask yourself. I'd love for you to look at any area in your life where your worthiness has been tied to something outside of yourself. So this could be in your success, your external success, your accomplishments, your relationship status, how much money's in the bank. We have a lot of not just safety tied to that in a legitimate real world way, but your identity, your worthiness. Also what you look like, what's going on the outside. Where has your worthiness been tied to something outside of yourself instead of what's within you? Second thing, I'd like you to look at the spirituality. Oh shit, I didn't write about the Norn Cave. I meant to talk about the Norn Cave. I fucked up on the scenes. It's a bit of a mess, this video. It is what it is. So I meant to talk about the Norn Cave, which is a deleted scene anyway, but we see a bit where he gets help from Eric Selvig and he consults his higher power, the Norns, which I believe were women who were really interested in fate. And so Thor talks to them, and they don't sound benevolent. They sound quite threatening. And he talks to the Norn. So that's his higher power. That's his relationship with them. So I'd like you to take a look at your own beliefs, your own spirituality. Who do you call them for answers? Who do you call them for answers? How do you connect with that eternal part of you? Some people call it the soul. Some people call it the higher self. Or it could be a future self, a version of you that's older, wiser, has the answers. How do you connect with that part of you? I actually have a video, a meditation on the future self that'll help you get the answers from the person that's 10 years older already and already has the answers. So you can tap into that version of yourself now and get those answers now instead of in 10 years where you naturally grow and evolve. Just like Thor does, just like he consults the Norns and learns more about the Infinity Stones. Third question, this is a bit like, say you're a Scorpio without saying a Scorpio. If Wanda could do the wiggly woos on your mind, if she could warp your mind and tap into your deepest fears, what would she see? What would she make you see? Is there any truth to this fear? And knowing that, is there any action that you want to take? Fear is a very powerful thing. Sometimes fear can be helpful. If we have a fear about something happening, we can prevent it from happening by looking at the warning signs. Oh, I'm scared of this thing happening. I need to make sure I work hard to prevent that from occurring. It can be a great motivator, but it doesn't have to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? We don't have to be so scared that we don't do the things that we really want to do, that we stay so afraid that we never try new things. Fourth and final thing to ask yourself, like Thor sharing Mjolnir with Vision, is there anything that was really unique to you that you feel was either taken from you or that someone else had? Do you feel a certain way if there's something unique to you that other people start to do or start to have? Does it threaten your feelings of who you are? Do you have a lot of identity wrapped up in a certain thing? And knowing that, what do you want to do? As with all of those points, I want you to look at this video not just through the eyes of Thor, though of course we love these characters and it's so interesting to see his journey. And I'm really excited to see on Thor Love Thunder on Thursday and see where they go with his journey next, which is very much about introspection and identity and who he is. Is he a hero? He's saved Earth from the 500th time. Yes, we love these characters and yes, we want to understand them, but it's a way to understand ourselves. So as always, as you're going through this, just start to ask yourself, what does this mean about me? How does this relate to me? What can I take from it? So on and so forth. So that's your video for today. I will be live next on Thursday. It may not be Love and Thunder on Thursday, though. I'm going to give it a couple of days because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So if you need more from me, there's a couple places you can go. We have the Odinsons family drama series. I'll link the playlist at the end. And you can also go to my website, cherylmuir.com, for free trainings. The links are also in the description below. Of course, do all the things. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video if it was helpful. Share any videos that resonate. Like the video. Comment. It helps us reach more people. I'm excited for us to get to 3,000 subscribers. And when we do, I will be sure to do a giveaway. I know that it's still a baby channel, and I know that 3,000 subscribers is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I'd love your support in getting there. So let's go. And I know what the giveaway is going to be for 3,000, but I won't tell you just yet. So let's get us to 3,000 and from there 5K, 10K and beyond. And let me know as well what you want to see in the next video, because I want to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. Thank you so much for being here. I've been Cheryl Muir. This has been Love and Fandom. And remember, you are absolutely worthy of love. Bye for now.